Her is a fascinating film about a man who falls in love with his AI system. And I think it's even more fascinating to re-examine that movie in the era of chatgpt. The film opens with Joaquin Phoenix's character dictating a love letter.
To my Chris, I've been thinking how I could possibly tell you how much you mean to me.
At first, we assume it's his love letter, or a letter someone has written to him. But the next shot reveals that it's Joaquin Phoenix's character writing a love letter for somebody else.
My love, my friend till the end, Loretta.
The camera pulls back to reveal an entire office of letter writers, composing words for people's most intimate experiences.
Every day. It is the best drunk wedding, and what a gorgeous bride. It is.
Now, this strikes me as odd. In the world of Her, AI systems are basically sentient. So why would anyone hire a human to write a love letter when a much more primitive AI system like ChatGPT can already basically write one? Separately, I recently came upon a website called thankanyone.com. Now, the origin of this website is that this guy was getting sick and tired of having to handwrite all these thank you letters to the 300 guests that came to his wedding and gave him gifts. So he drafted up a spreadsheet of guests who came, the associated gifts, and just a brief bio about them. Had ChatGPT write up a thank you letter. Then he sent this to a company that uses a robotic hand to handwrite these letters and then mail these to the guests. And the pitch on the website is this. Take an hours-long writing process that would otherwise hurt your brain and your wrist into a 20-minute adventure powered by AI. The sentence is kind of weird. He should have added another verb or maybe used transform instead of take, so I can only assume a human wrote this and not an AI. But anyway, in the process of 20 minutes, he just completely destroyed the value of the thank you letters. Like, nobody cares about the actual physical thank you letter. The entire value is that you sacrifice time and effort. The value is the fact that you're hurting your brain and your wrist and that you're doing some sort of sacrifice to show your gratitude. And that doesn't even take into account destroying the value to yourself for practicing gratitude. But this is a real website and you can use it. And the funny thing about this is that if automated thank you letters ever really reached a critical mass, people would just stop valuing them and they'd be worthless as an expression of gratitude. And we'd have to figure out some sort of other system to show gratitude. So maybe we'd go back to phone calls or something. Now, because of the importance of gratitude, I don't think that people will ever really automate thank you cards. But what about something that people don't really care about, or they only care about the end results, like professional writing, like cover letters and CVs and letters of recommendation? ChatGPT can already do these because they're already pretty formulaic and there's a certain type of style that is necessary in order to succeed with these types of communication. And the funny thing about this communication is that companies already use computers and AI to analyze and scan through cover letters and CVs looking for certain keywords. So basically be writing something with a computer just to be read by a different computer. And I think this will happen because people just care about the end result of getting a job. And why wouldn't you use this? If it gives you a slight edge, you'd be a fool not to take advantage of this method. And I don't think it's really going to break anything because cover letters and CVs don't really matter anyway. You can't really tell how someone's going to do for a job until they're actually doing it. But I think it's just one example of just kind of this entropy that's going to be created by the ease of being able to write content like that. The whole thing kind of reminds me of this experience in the 1996 novel Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Now, this novel was written in the 90s, but it takes place in the future, and it talks about the history of video calls. And in the book, there's this phenomenon called the show, which is where people end up using masks to look more attractive on video calls, and the masks become more elaborate and expensive, and the whole thing becomes so exhausting that people just end up just doing away with video calls and just only use audio calls. And I wonder how that will take place with something like ChatGPT. Maybe because we're all using it to communicate with each other, we just won't value that type of communication because we'll consider it inauthentic. And synchronous and in-person communication will be placed at a much higher premium than it already is. But I'm really curious to find out what types of communication we'll find acceptable for AI to generate, and what types, will be considered taboo. And how will we enforce this taboo? Will we go back to handwriting letters with wax seals? Maybe it'll just be like an honor system that if somebody finds out that you were writing your letters with AI, that you'll just be shunned by society. I don't really know how that would work, but it could happen. But maybe it really is just the thought that counts, and maybe people will find it sweet when you get a love letter written by a AI, because it'll be kind of like, you know, buying flowers. It'll be just the thought and the gesture that's sweet, and maybe the love letter is really pretty to read. Or maybe, like in the case of her, we'll place special value on a human written love letter. Maybe people will see it as certain like artisan and, you know, preferable than an AI generated letter, and having the stamp that a company actually certified and a human wrote it, maybe that will be considered sweet and special. And yeah, I don't know. It seems a bit strange, but maybe that's what will happen. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think in the comments. So let me know, have you been using ChatGPT to write any of your professional letters or any of your personal letters, or like in the case of South Park, using it just for writing your text? I don't know. Just let me know what you think and what you're thinking about the future with this. Thanks for watching. Bye.